Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez thinks she's in charge and is leading the Democrats, but she couldn't be more wrong. Well, that is, unless she's just leading the Democrats right off of a cliff. Operation Let Her Speak or Let AOC Talk is a masterclass in forfeiture because with opponents like her, there's no way Democrats can ever win anything legit and fairly. There's that caveat for sure. Ever again. Allowing the New York Congresswoman to conduct interviews unsupervised, big mistake. But when will the Democrats ever learn? Probably never. And they just keep digging themselves into more holes and they're just getting deeper in shit. But maybe the worst part about it all is they don't even realize as they keep digging their shovels in and tossing them over their shoulders, they're just flinging a whole heap of dirt on the backs of the same Democrats who are supposed to be working in unison and lockstep to save or restore democracy from the evil President Trump. Yeah, right. But listen, as AOC opens her mouth and inserts foot, as she tries to paint the picture of not just Republicans, the GOP and MAGA as the villains here, but now her phasers have been set to stun and she's hunting the rich, wealthy billionaires because they're the real problem here, I guess. But the only thing more stunning than the white dress AOC wore to the Met Gala may be her stupidity and the overwhelming collective ignorance, or maybe arrogance of the left and the Democrats. And I bet that dress cost a pretty penny, and each plate was probably thousands of dollars per head, but eat the rich, as they say, right? And the only reason why AOC and the Democrats are attempting to tug on the heartstrings of the lower class and less than median income earners struggling to get by and make ends meet, living paycheck to paycheck, is because they think there are more of them out there that they can then get to vote blue no matter who, but their plan has failed pretty much just as soon as it has hatched. But they're too dumb and stupid to realize it, or maybe they're just too corrupt to really give a shit anymore. I mean, damn, how could you stand there and say some of the things that come out of these Democrats' mouths with straight faces and actually buy into and believe their own horseshit? Now, I've tried to figure it out, but I can't. So I'm relying on you to help me. And so, without any further ado, I give you Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez accusing President Trump and billionaires Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg of participating in a corrupt scheme emphasizing systemic cynicism over isolated misconduct. Watch and listen as AOC says, it's not just that Trump is corrupt. It's that everyone participating in this is corrupt. Elon is corrupt. Jeff Bezos is corrupt. Mark Zuckerberg is corrupt.
It's not just that Trump is corrupt, it's that everyone participating in this is corrupt. Elon is corrupt, Jeff Bezos is corrupt, Mark Zuckerberg is corrupt in participating in this scheme that we all know everyone's just trying to look the other way because who really cares, right? And it's this idea of cynicism. It's this idea that no one cares about fairness anyway. No one cares about the rules anyway. So who cares if we break them?
But wait, AOC, you left out a few names because you are corrupt and all your Democrat friends are corrupt. Now, it's important that I point out how I said all of AOC's Democrat friends are corrupt because there are a few Democrats out there who I would consider to be on the right side of history and our Constitution, but I would be willing to bet that they don't consider AOC to be a friend of theirs. And one in particular comes to mind, and his name is John Fetterman. Now, I have a clip I want to share with you from a recent Fox News broadcast that not only reveals the corrupt Dems making a stunning admission as John Fetterman says the quiet part out loud and blasts his own party for basically just lying and being hypocrites. But first, I want you to listen to this. Texas Democrat and State Representative James Tallarico says on national TV at that, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos are all using their wealth to rig our political system. Now, granted, this was on MSNBC, so maybe all of 7 people may have seen it by now, but still, Tallarico attempts to kick off his first day on the trail by saying something so unbelievably stupid, and on the launch day of his campaign account's active promotion, immediately sets the tone and generates nothing but polarized replies, with praise for unity appeals contrasting skepticism over equating billionaire influence in both parties amid ongoing partisan battles. But he ignores the voices of the people because why not? That is the most Democrat thing you can do, right? Ignore the very same people you claim to work for, serve, and you want to believe they can trust you in exchange for their votes.
That I really don't see politics as left versus right anymore. I see it as top versus bottom. Y'all were just having a conversation about how the richest 1% in this country now own more wealth than the entire middle class. There are 3 men, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, who now own more wealth than 165 million Americans combined. And they're using that wealth to rig our political system. They increasingly own social media, traditional media. They own politicians in both political parties. And they're using that wealth to divide us on a regular basis. And I think people are tired of being pitted against each other. We have so much more in common with each other than we realize. And this campaign's trying to bring working people together so we can take power back for our communities.
He says he doesn't see politics as left versus right anymore, and then goes on to claim billionaires are using their wealth to rig our political system. All right, okay, I'll give you that, but tell me something that I don't know already, bub. Tallarico says they own the media and they own politicians in both political parties. Okay, all right. I'm still not arguing these points, so go on. Oh, yeah. You were saying they're using that wealth to divide us, and you think people are tired of being pitted against each other. And I would agree. And you know who I think wouldn't agree more? The people who are most affected by this ridiculous government shutdown. The Schumer shutdown, or better yet, the shutdown Democrats just won't let come to an end because they are the party of the corrupt and want over $1.5 trillion in ransom to give free healthcare to illegals. Fuck everybody else. Fuck Americans, tax-paying citizens. Fuck you, fuck me, fuck all of us. But you know what? You should all be mad at the rich and wealthy billionaires, right? That's it. Eat the rich. Just like AOC said, right? James Tallarico, a Democratic Texas state representative and 2026 U.S. Senate candidate against Ted Cruz, used this MSNBC opportunity in an attempt to reframe politics as a class struggle, highlighting how billionaires like Musk, Zuckerberg, and Bezos control media and politicians across parties to exacerbate divisions. But he forgot one important piece of information that we all think is critical in this conversation. Tallarico's assertion that the top 1% owns more wealth than the middle class is supported by 2024 Federal Reserve data, where the wealthiest 1% held 32.3% of U.S. net worth versus the middle 50%'s 28.4%, underscoring growing economic inequality driving his anti-corruption platform. And yeah, sure, I won't argue that. But I will challenge the idea that the weight of the blame goes to billionaires who happen to support Republicans, MAGA, Trump, and are red, white, and blue, proud patriots against the tyranny and evil of the left and Democrats. So like I said, and I think we can all agree, how the people who are most affected by this ridiculous government shutdown are absolutely tired and at their wits' end of being used like pawns in a game that the Democrats are playing, using their wealth to divide us and pitting people against each other. Watch as a wife of a federal firefighter tries to hold back the tears as she explains the struggles of working without pay due to the Democrat shutdown. Just doing all she can to basically live off savings and credit cards right now until her family can get to the other side of this. The other side of this, that another extremely corrupt and ghetto Democrat Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett says the shutdown is likely to continue until airports and our economy, which was on its way to booming, is impacted negatively, of course. The Democrats are causing millions of people to suffer unnecessarily, all because of not only their hatred for Trump, but their hatred for Trump delivering on campaign promises of making America great again. But watch and listen as a federal firefighter's wife describes their reliance on savings and credit cards amid the U.S. government shutdown, now in its 24th or 25th days since October 1, 2025, due to stalled congressional funding talks led by corrupt Democrats.
An everyday trip to the grocery store doesn't come without stress for Gina McDonald these days.
You know, we're just basically living off of savings and credit cards right now until we can get to the other side of this.
Her husband is a federal firefighter, an essential employee, working without pay for the last 3 weeks due to the government shutdown.
So everything that he worked after September 30th did not get paid out. So he is owed half of a paycheck from there, plus the paycheck that is supposed to be coming on Friday that obviously is not coming.
We head into the grocery store and prepare to do some math.
So the 3-pack is $11.99, which I can freeze, but the single pack is $5.39. So if I were to get 3 of these, it'd be like $15. So I'm going to do the 3-pack instead, just because financially that's what makes sense.
Inexpensive ingredients that can make several meals has been the name of the game for this nurse, who is currently in school to get her doctorate as a nurse practitioner.
99 cents.
Dinner for 4 that should last 5 days, according to McDonald. Check. Now to the next task of the day. Looking for part-time remote work to supplement the loss of income.
Nurse editor, I could apply for that one. Utilization management remote, I can apply for that one.
She applies for 2 to 3 extra jobs a day because, of course, her husband can't pick up supplemental work while he's still working his full-time firefighting job. McDonald says they're lucky to have savings to fall back on for emergencies like this, but that will only go so far, which is why she, like so many others, are calling on lawmakers to figure this out sooner than later.
I would urge them all to get back to work with the business of the people and do what they're actually paid to do, which they're still getting paid during this shutdown.
Now, when we met with McDonald earlier today, the bill to pay essential workers had not yet gone to a vote, and she and her husband were really hopeful that it would pass. Now, I spoke with her again after the vote on the phone, and she told me it's, quote, ludicrous.
Conservatives like activist Derek Evans blames Democrats for the impasse, amplifying narratives of political gridlock affecting essential workers who must continue unpaid duties. But there are so many more conservatives who feel the same way. And some would-be Democrat voters too. And when push comes to shove, I can assure you these people won't forget who tried to bend them over and f them, the Democrats, and how Trump and the GOP Republicans fought hard to keep the government open. Because I can assure you, if we had the ability to produce 60 votes in the Senate, the government would be open right now. But like I said, when will the Democrats ever learn? Probably never. And they just keep digging themselves into more holes, and they're just getting deeper and deeper in shit. But maybe the worst part about it all is they don't even realize as they keep digging their shovels in and tossing them over their shoulders, they're just flinging a whole heap of dirt on the backs of the same Democrats who are supposed to be working in unison, in lockstep, singing from the same song sheet to save or restore democracy from the evil President Trump, right?
Let's look live now at the U.S. Senate floor. Republicans are setting up a test vote to pay essential workers as the government shutdown hits 23 days. And by essential, we're talking about active duty military men and women, those air traffic controllers and some of their staff who support them, like the engineers and the technicians, and law enforcement, the people who keep us safe. The vote comes a day after Senate Democrats blocked a House-passed funding bill for the 12th time. That was yesterday. The second highest ranking House Democrat, Katherine Clark, said the quiet part out loud. Here's what she told Fox News, that the pain of families feeling, or that they're feeling during the shutdown, is being used as leverage.
I understand the math in the Senate. I understand the health care position from the Democrats. No responsibility on the Democrats, or at least you don't think that the public will perceive that the Democrats are responsible.
I mean, shutdowns are terrible, and of course there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously. But it is one of the few leverage times we have. It is an inflection point in this budget process where we have tried to get the Republicans to meet with us and prioritize the American people.
How in the fuck can AOC stand there and ramble off a list of billionaires and try and point blame towards them when you have the Democrats' second highest ranking in command, Katherine Clark, literally telling the American people how, of course, there are going to be families that are going to suffer, but it's leverage and a Democrat bargaining chip.
The but, right? My mom taught me that whatever came before it, you didn't really mean it. So when she says she cares, but she's got political leverage, it's the after the but that counts.
The Democrats don't care. And any sincerity that they pretend to display, they really don't mean it.
Meanwhile, Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman is calling out his own political party for punishing hardworking Americans.
I'm a country over party guy. I'm always going to vote to pay our military over the party. I'm always going to vote to pay the Capitol Police here versus over the party. So for me, it's a core responsibility here as a senator to keep our government open, and I'm never going to vote to shut our government down. And I don't care if it's the Republicans or Democrats, whatever, it's wrong.
Senator John Fetterman, the only Democrat with common sense on the left, and like I said, probably no friend of AOC's either.
Lisa, he must be the loneliest Democrat in Congress.
So I just want to apologize to him. I used to think he was such a liberal. I've said so many things about him, particularly when he was running initially for Senate. I even didn't like the fact he wore sweats. But now I kind of like it. If you want to show up in boxers, you do your thing, Senator Fetterman. He's the only man with common sense on the left.
Oops is right. And the Democrats can't keep their lies straight and end up saying the quiet part out loud. But like I said, they're either too dumb or too stupid to realize it, or maybe both. But it's without a shadow of a doubt, they are, in fact, just too corrupt to really give a shit anymore. They are so blinded by rage and this whole gotta beat Trump, even though they never have and never will. I mean, damn, how could you stand there and say some of the things that come out of these Democrats' mouths with straight faces and actually buy into it and believe their own horse shit? And yeah, folks, I've tried to figure it out, but I can't. So I'm relying on you to help me.
But you look at these shutdown fights, you win when you have the easiest argument to sell. And if you look at Republicans right now, they're giving Democrats the option to continue to pay federal workers, which they'll inevitably vote against. They've also given them now 12 chances in the Senate to vote to keep the government open at funding levels that they previously supported just a few months ago. Democrats are on record 13 times under the Biden administration of supporting continuing resolutions, right? So they've done it before. There's no reason for them not to be doing it now. I'll also point out that, unfortunately, when we saw the longest shutdown in 2019, it ended because you had ground stops at LaGuardia by the FAA, and then you ended up having thousands of flights delayed, and I think something like 650 cancellations. So unfortunately, you might have to get to that point for Congress and President Trump to get together. The last thing I'll point out is I worked on Capitol Hill in 2013 with the shutdown under Obama, and he made a point to visualize the shutdown and the pain that he was causing. by shutting down the national parks, by barricading the World War II memorials. And you see with Republicans right now, they're doing the opposite, where President Trump's trying to make sure the military gets paid, and Republicans in Congress are trying to make sure federal workers get paid.
All right. So, John, Capitol Hill explain for me, if you can.
That's impossible.
What is this like mysterious leverage that Democrats like Catherine Clark say they've got by making people suffer?
You know, when I saw that scene, and Chad brought it on our program yesterday, I was reminded of the scene from Love Actually, where Natalie accidentally swears in front of the prime minister, and the staff looks at her and she goes, "It just came out. Oops, I didn't mean it."
And that just goes to further prove the point that this isn't actually about helping the American people. And the Democrats' corruption runs much deeper than what we are being led on to believe.
I mean, she said the quiet part out loud, but it dovetails with what Chuck Schumer said. We're in a better position than ever.
So true.
But how is that true? Like, what position are they in?
Well, that's a really
With the
good
left-wing
question.
radicals.
do they like being?
They're catering to the base. The base is saying fight, 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 regardless of what happens, regardless of any sanity, regardless of any rationality about actually looking at the issues and examining them and figuring out what's the best way out of this. It's like J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson in Chicago. We know exactly what's happening with illegal immigration, and the residents there are up in arms saying, what are you doing? Donald Trump wants to put in the National Guard to protect the Broadview facility, and J.B. Pritzker, because he wants to run for president, is saying no, 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 no. I mean, you know, it's the old battle of who's got a bigger megaphone, if you will. But that's what it's coming down to here, and it's the same thing between with the Democrats. They want to get health care in. They have been offered a vote on health care. They're not taking
They have health care
up on it. No.
They have it in, because Thune has said, as you were about to
that's what I was saying.
the minute this gets closed, like the very next
He's going to
hour.
offer a vote, but that's not good enough,
All right.
because they want it in. They're saying that there's this deadline of November the 1st that open enrollment starts, and that's when the premiums are set.
So in the shutdown.
But every day that they keep it down shut is a day closer we are to November the 1st. So if they really wanted to fix healthcare, why wouldn't you open it, negotiate? Because I've talked to people who believe that if they were to take a vote on extending the Obamacare tax credits, it would probably pass.
Emily.
And would you look at that? The Democrats want to primary John Fetterman because he has common sense and actually cares about the Americans in America. How anti-Democrat of him. So his soon-to-be former party wants to get rid of him. Do you see how this game works and how the Democrats are playing it? AOC, Chuck Schumer, James Tallarico, Nancy Pelosi, J.B. Pritzker, Gavin Newsom, Catherine Clark, you name it. They are the corrupt party of this country, and their blame game of finger-pointing Republican billionaires falls on deaf ears, as the Democrats have already lost this fight, but they just want to cause more pain and cause more Americans to suffer for their supposed leverage. But this too shall pass. And like I said, there's no way the Democrats can ever win anything ever again when they act like this and behave in ways that they do right now. Well, they can't win legitimately, at least.
Yeah, I hearing them speak so callously and strategically, like it's a chessboard, but knowing that it's American lives. You know, I confirmed with the Secret Service that was here in this building the other day, protecting a faithful public servant. They're not getting paid. We show the ICE agents. They're enduring public ridicule and scorn and assaults by illegal immigrants. They're not getting paid right now. I mentioned the other day that I spent this weekend with many couples, both of whom derive their income from the government. So a mother and a father not getting their paychecks. And that's considered leverage at the behest of the minority whip. I mean, to me, that exemplifies how callous and cruel these lawmakers are. They have two jobs: draft your laws and fund the government. And it is an abdication of their duty that they still enjoy the paychecks they are lucky I pay, when so many of our military and public members of this administration and the law enforcement, et cetera, are not getting their paychecks right now. To me, it's despicable, and no amount of strategizing explains that part away.
Kaylee.
Yeah. Emily really is personalizing what this shutdown is doing. There are people that going without paychecks, and that's appalling, which is why I'm so interested in this test vote. So you won't open the government, a clean CR, 13 times of which you voted to do the exact same thing with Chuck Schumer. Well, how will you vote to pay the military and federal workers? I imagine it's just going to be Catherine Cortez Masto, a Democrat, along with Angus King, an independent, and then John Fetterman with Republicans. I imagine that's what the vote will look like, which is appalling. Good for you, John Fetterman, who I'll have on this Saturday on Saturday in America, for saying, I will always vote to pay workers. I will always vote. It is rare to have a voice in a party that's willing to exert itself, and he was pretty much the only one doing that. Then you had Catherine coming on board and along with Angus King. But good for him for doing that. He knows that his constituents matter. And I would just point out the last time the Democrats flipped a Senate seat, guess when it was? 2022. John Fetterman. Maybe that's the guy you should be listening to.
But they want to kick him out of the party now.
Yeah.
They want a primary.
Look, when Democrats throughout the shutdown say they care about America, it is obvious that they just might not care about the Americans in it.
Well, they don't care more than they hate Trump. They hate Trump more than they care about the country.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think. Light up the comments, subscribe to my channel, and make sure you come back for my next video, because if you like this one, you're going to love the next one. Take care. God bless. And thanks for watching.